Hey guys, welcome back to Nerdium, the podcast that looks at all the things that we enjoyed when we were young, with all the time in the world, but with no money. Now that we all have jobs and can afford it all, we have no time. I'm your host Matt, and with me always is my co-host Cary. Cary, pause the game. Pause the game and get over here. Well then save it. What do you mean you can't save it? Anyway, this week's episode is our E3 preview special. E3, or Electronic Entertainment Expo, is happening this weekend, and we're going to find out all the things in the gaming world we're going to throw our money at for the next year. So Cary, when you're ready, log into those offshore accounts our wives don't know about, and let's get ready to spend. And also play the music. Alright, so by the time this episode comes out, E3 will be coming out this weekend.
I guess so, eh?
Yeah.
I guess we're recording it a little bit early, and it's right around the corner.
Mm-hmm. And of course, a lot of the things we're talking about, there'll be tons more leaks and news that have come out since we recorded. But, well, that's the joy of pre-recording an episode. especially with something like E3. Like, there's stuff coming out every day for it.
Well, that's just it. And I mean, right now we're kind of dealing with a little bit of the fallout of loose lips sinking ships.
Yep.
Some people are getting their pee-pee smacked because they didn't know how to keep a secret.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just too juicy of a secret to keep.
Or it's just silliness on behalf of whoever was setting up the website.
That too.
I mean, I get the juiciness, but I think in this case, it's just we're not paying attention to what we're really doing.
Yeah. Nobody's going to notice this.
No, we're just going to get all the pre-orders up a couple weeks before E3. It's all good.
Yeah.
No. It's the internet. Who's going to say anything?
Yeah, certainly not the gamer geeks that,
that hound that scrounge and sniff around like a pig looking for a truffle.
Yeah, pretty much have alerts posted up that every time something gets posted that they're notified, so.
I don't, I have no idea. It seems weird to me that somebody in a control area of, let's say, like Walmart or EB Games, or was it Walmart that made that mistake?
It was Walmart.
It was Walmart, right? That you would think that, like, this is not your first rodeo for setting up pre-orders for games. Mm-hmm. And there's always an information embargo. There's always a pre-order embargo. There's, like, all kinds of stuff of keep your mouth shut. Here's when you can start releasing it. And then all of a sudden somebody's just like, I'm going on holidays next week, so I'm just going to get my next month's worth of work done right now.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of companies these days, they try to play it smart. Like, you get the companies that are doing the little PR quips that are making the funny jokes and all that, but sometimes they fall flat. And I'm pretty sure you get like some know-it-all millennial that's sitting in there that's like, oh, this is going to be so good, and then next thing you know, they make a racial slur. And oops.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll cost you your sitcom if you're not careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she's not a millennial.
No.
Maybe the last millennium.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But that being said, E3 is right around the corner, which means countless videos on people standing in front of an audience and extremely uncomfortable, and a bunch of video clips of stuff that we just can't wait to get our hands on.
Yeah, and a bunch of game developer presence that you don't really know that stand in front of the crowd shouting loudly, give me your money, pretty much.
Hey, there is a few things. I don't know. I can't remember if some of the games I'm really just hounding for are coming out this year or maybe next year. But I have my wallet ready to just huck at the right person.
Just the full wallet.
Here's my wallet. Here's all the cards. And here's the password to all of them. Please just take it all.
Yeah. You got Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, all those guys that are going to be there. Microsoft's actually going to be at their own theater again this year. The Microsoft Theater. Yeah. I don't think you're going to expect much for any kind of big hardware previews or announcements coming from Sony or Xbox, because they're kind of coming to the end of their life cycle.
This generation's coming to the end of its life cycle.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I know I've read a few articles about the next one, let's call it the PS5 for lack of a better word. Mm-hmm. And the next, I know they're really working on that, where they're really getting ready for that.
Yeah.
Because how long have we had the PS4? About 6 years?
5 or 6 years now, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty much at the end of its life cycle. We've had the PS 4.5 with the PS Pro. Mm-hmm. We had the Xbox 0.5 edition kind of pop up. but I think that they've gone as far with this hardware-wise, as they're going to go.
Yeah.
Anything else after this, I think, would just be an unnecessary, and a lot of people would call them out on just making a cash grab. On my side, because I'm a PlayStation guy, the PlayStation Pro, it's like, well, just a couple of years ago you gave me the PlayStation 4, and now you're saying here's this one, but it's got like a minor upgrade.
Yeah.
I would be better off to just start at that point in time. I'd be better off to be a PC gamer. Just start piecing together my machine, that way I can just throw in the new card when it comes out, throw in a new board. Like, it's if in the console wars, if you're going to start playing that game, you're going to see a lot of people just get pushed further and further to the PC master race.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of like what the Xbox Project Phoenix is going to be, like where you upgrade components?
I've kind of heard that that's what they're looking at, but I didn't really follow that all too closely.
Yeah.
I think when you start getting into the upgrade components, you're really, like for us as dads and guys that like have jobs and have stuff that we have to do all the time, consoles just kind of satisfy us as gamers.
Yeah, low maintenance, just plug and play.
Right. Prior to the world of responsibility that I decided to throw on myself, I could have a PC rig going, upgrade it constantly, and then just do that and not even think about it. I think if consoles want to start playing that game, why do I need a console?
Yeah.
If I'm going to be playing the hardware game, I can get even better hardware for a PC.
Yeah, and the PlayStation 5, it's still in development right now, so I don't think you're going to get any kind of announcement really on that.
They might hint at something, they might give you like the infamous like 15-second quip, like a little flash of something on the screen and basically say, here, we're working on it, just to kind of appease, the fanboys and fangirls out there that want to hear something about that. Mm-hmm. But I think this year they're really going to be pushing that last final big generation of games coming out for each system.
Yeah. It baffles me when they do an announcement for we're working on PlayStation 5 and then everybody loses their mind. They're so excited, like they didn't expect that to happen.
Right. It would be like Apple telling me suddenly they're going to be coming out with a new phone in a year. Like, no. Well, my mind is blown. I never saw that coming.
I thought you guys were calling it.
Yeah, right.
Pulling the Seinfeld. We did it.
They were going out on top, everybody. See you later. It was great.
Yeah. Sony announced that they're going to be showing off their 4 main exclusives that are going to be coming out. The Death Stranding, the Ghost of Tsushima. I think I'm saying that right.
Sure. Try not to butcher it.
The new Spider-Man and The Last of Us 2.
I'm really pumped for the new Spider-Man, only because one of my favorite games for, I think it was PS2, was the Spider-Man 2. Just the free-running, just sling web all over the place, shooting around New York. Mm-hmm. I'm really, really looking forward to that. Plus, it was like one of the first, I remember, good combat superhero games for me.
Yeah. And it looks like this one's going to be pretty much down that line. And also the antagonist was it Negative Man or something like that?
Couldn't tell you.
This guy, he's like the negative black and white of this universe kind of thing. It looks actually pretty cool. Like there was a promo image that I saw where they actually took the image and made it a negative of that image, and Negative Man was how he should be.
Okay.
So it was actually pretty cool.
That's cool. I know I'm one of the things I'm looking forward to see if they pop up at E3 this year is CD Projekt Red, the makers of The Witcher 3.
Yep.
They have a new one coming out. I'm hoping I'm getting the name right. Cyberpunk something or other. I can't remember the year, but it looks really, really good.
Okay.
And if The Witcher 3 is any indication as to how they run their games, I imagine it'll be, one, a fantastic game, and two, have that innumerable amount of free downloadable content that CD Projekt Red just throws at you. Mm-hmm. They definitely throw out payable content because somebody's got to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
But like upgrade after upgrade after upgrade with The Witcher 3 was free. A couple of really great paid downloads, but then most of the content was just like free. Here you go. Just thanks for supporting the project. Have this. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to really, really good stuff from them. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious about Death Stranding. There hasn't really been too much information on what that game's actually going to be about. I know that it has Norman Reedus in it, and
I mean, hey, I could always watch Norman Reedus.
Yeah, and like there's kind of been mentions of different parts of it. Like there's going to be when you die, it doesn't take you out of the game. It just takes you to a different part of the game, I guess.
Okay.
And then there's environmental things that go on, like it's like time rain, I think they call it, where if you get caught in the rain, it causes like plants to grow faster and humans to age.
Oh, really?
So I think it's going to be kind of a game that plays a lot with kind of temporal kind of paradoxes.
Yeah, okay. I could be down with that.
It seems really interesting. I heard rumors that it's going to involve some sort of global cooperation, which I don't even really understand how that works.
Maybe global co-op play, maybe?
I'm not sure.
I mean, that would be a weird way to say global co-op. I mean, if you played like Borderlands, I think it was the second Borderlands 2. I mean, that was global co-op. You could just log on, anybody could jump into your map and help you out.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're going for something different. I'm not quite sure what they mean.
Yeah, how it was phrased was kind of interesting. The Ghost of Tsushima, the one that I keep butchering, it's going to be like a feudal Japan epic. It's kind of like a samurai one.
Oh, okay. Kind of like a Dynasty Warriors sort of thing?
Kind of looks like that, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, that's pretty cool. And The Last of Us 2, which is the follow-up to the pretty awesome... I liked it.
The epic Last of Us?
The Last of Us. The one that hits you right in the feels right from the start.
Yeah. I've never been gut punched like that by a video game. I was just like, oh goddamn. Yeah. I know we mentioned it in one of our other episodes, but like that was, I mean, for the beginning of the video game, that's kind of what took me through that whole game, was just how it opened. I had to see how it ended.
Yeah.
Like, fantastic game. I mean, not everybody's cup of tea. Like, it is kind of a slow burn for like the build up and the tension, but still well worth a play. And I would imagine the sequel would be just as good.
Yeah, they're really good at storytelling, and the graphics have been really good. And it's kind of almost plays out like a movie that you're kind of playing in. So it's not like a standard video game where you're running into action. Yeah,
it's far more like a cinematic adventure. Mm-hmm. Not as cinematically driven as something like, what was that one? Heavy Rain?
Yeah.
A little bit more interactive, but still like a really good story-driven narrative there. They really just kind of ropes you in.
Yeah, and it's not weighed down by like a bunch of cutscenes or anything like that, where you just sit there and watch. Like, you're actually playing, but it's like like you said, a cinematographic kind of playthrough.
Yeah,
so.
It's a good game that strays away from like the never-ending, it seems, sandbox games. Mm-hmm. You know, like your Fallouts and your Skyrims, where you can go and do anything you want, but eventually you get either so distracted by everything, and then become so overpowered that you just like tap dance into the final boss.
Yeah.
It's really, really more of and I use the term loosely because I don't think it does the game justice, more of like a paper tube feel. Yeah. Like you really are only going in one direction. Sometimes you can go a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, but you're always pushing forward.
Yeah, they have a predetermined kind of finale to it.
Yeah, I mean, it harkens back to kind of like the days of yore where it's like, you can only go in one, long before Grand Theft Auto, it really was, you went from point A to point B, and then point B to point C, and so on and so on. You could never really jump around. Mm-hmm. But I think that's perfectly fine as long as you get the right narrative and the right story in there. Yep. And I think Last of Us will deliver that in droves if the first one is any indication.
Yeah. And Another Settlement does not need your help, so.
No.
You're going to get pulled off.
That is all.
Side missions like that.
If there's one thing I couldn't stand was constantly like, I'm glad that settlement needs my help. I'm busy right now.
Yeah. Got other things going on. Then there's Microsoft. I haven't really done a lot of research on stuff that's Microsoft announcing. There's been kind of rumors that they'll be talking about a Halo 6. And then since those rumors came out, there hasn't really been a whole lot. So it's kind of, I don't know, it might not be a Halo 6 announced.
I'm surprised, I give the game credit where credit's due. I'm surprised Halo has gone on for as long as it has.
I'm a big fan of Halo. I enjoy it. Some of the games haven't been as strong as others. They've done some of their little one-offs, like the Halo Wars ×2. Mm-hmm. They did the Halo ODST, and then they did that other Xbox One exclusive game. I don't remember what it's called, but it was a Halo game. Halo's been kind of one of those games that's been pretty good for having like an epic story. It's another game that also isn't too big on the open world. You do have that that tube feel where you're kind of aiming at one goal. And it's been going on for over 10 years now, I think.
At least 10 years, if not more.
Yeah. So they've been doing pretty good, and they're still able to kind of pump out content that's been interesting. They've been really big in the esports right now, so you get like the Halo leagues.
Yeah.
And you're constantly getting bombarded by the championships on Xbox Live that you can tune in and watch these 13-year-olds win like $1 million playing Halo.
Yeah, get baller rich doing something that you wanted to do when you were a kid but never could. And now look at what the world has come to, Matt. Look at what's happened.
Oh, I sit down, have my cup of coffee, and I'm like, I'm going to teach these kids something. I'll get on there. I'll be able to compete.
Yeah, I remember that feeling until I got like smoked one day, and I just kind of put my controller down. I'm like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, that's what ended up happening, because I saw like the Halo championships, and I'm like, I can get in there. I can tussle with the best. And then next thing you know, I'm 3 seconds into the round. I'm getting teabagged.
Getting mauled.
So, yeah, that was the big thing I was looking for was Halo 6, because it's supposed to be the, I think, the final chapter of the 343 Studios take on Halo. I don't know if it was going to be the final Halo. I doubt it. That thing's a cash monster. But
I guess as long as they don't abuse the property too much, they should be like good to go for a while.
They got dangerously close there with kind of really playing with Halo, where you'd kind of really customize the armor and the guns. You'd put on stupid skins, like you put on like a skin on your assault rifle that's just a bunch of pizza slices, and it's like okay.
I'm not saying they haven't like attempted the use and abuse, but it's like when you have properties like that, it's one thing to like throw like silly nonsense out. It's another thing where you're just similar to like I guess a good example would be like the Assassin's Creed franchise, where it was like every year, here you go, here you go, here you go, and what you're really getting is just a new skin, same game, new skin, same game, new skin.
Yeah.
So that's it's Halo from what I've seen. It's like kind of just on the outside looking in, because it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
it seems like it's been a property that, like I say, I'm surprised it's been going as long as it has. But it seems to be a quality product. I can't really say a whole lot of bad stuff about it.
No, the stories have always been pretty compelling. Like the main character there, Master Chief John 117. It's always been good. Him and the dialogue between Cortana has always been pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. Right around the time with the really silly skins was about the same time that Call of Duty Black Ops 3 came out, where you got the really stupid wall running and the hot pink everything. Yeah. It just got a little ridiculous, so it'd be nice if they kind of started bringing that back a little bit. Like, we got the announcement of Call of Duty Black Ops 4. It'd be nice to see them kind of bring it back to reality a little bit, maybe a little less of the future tech of, I can release all these nanites and completely disintegrate a body now. Let's bring it back to being able to
come back a little bit to reality.
Yeah, I remember back in the day with watching the start clock go 3, 2, 1, and then immediately people aiming up, throwing the knife across the map and hoping that they hit something. And sometimes they do, and that sucks.
Well, yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. I don't know. For me, FPSs I just typically avoid.
Yeah.
I mean, I like a good campaign mode. Don't get me wrong. Like I played the first couple of Black Ops. I was like, yeah, man, solid campaign. I used to play Call of Duty way back when it was nothing but a campaign. Mm-hmm. But more as time goes on, it seems to be more and more catered to the multiplayer. So I just kind of stay in my own little bubble where I'm not getting destroyed by a 13-year-old kid who's saying things about my mother that I don't think are very true.
Yeah, well, you never know. The new Black Ops, I don't know if it's the new Black Ops or the new Battlefield. They're not having any campaign. They're just straight online.
Was that the Battlefield 5 controversy?
I don't think so. So, while we're on that, Battlefield 5's also been announced. So,
again, a game that I will probably never pick up or touch.
They've made comments that they're not going to charge money for DLCs. There won't be the microtransactions like there was. I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure there's still loot crates that you can buy. I think they're just not going to have the more random
crates there, the RNG crates.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember what I was reading there. I kind of went really deep down the rabbit hole on all these game announcements, and I can't really tell which was which now. But I remember Battlefield saying that they're not going to be charging for the DLCs, so that's something. At least you can play the new maps without that.
Well, that's pretty good. I mean, It's EA that does Battlefield, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I know. I mean, EA is everybody's favorite electronic punching bag, and for good reason. For good reason, for some of the stuff they've gotten caught doing. But I think it would behoove them to get away from that model of, here's a game, now keep giving us money. Like, I understand that's where video games have kind of gone. Everybody wants to keep generating cash off of a bought video game.
Yeah.
But I think that they really need to kind of start maybe cleaning up their act a little bit. I don't mind buying let's call it a loot crate, but I'd like to know what's in that loot crate. Like, none of this, you got a hot pink skin and you're good to go.
Or a gun that you never use.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Like, it would be better off to say, okay, if you buy this crate, here's what's in it. You know what you're buying. Like, you don't walk into a grocery store and just buy a bunch of, paper bags that have groceries in it, not knowing what's in there. Same deal with video games. I'd like to know what's in there. And if it's going to be random, at least just say, okay, this is all the random stuff, but here's the actual stuff. Like,
yeah.
Try not to play too many games.
It's funny you mention that, because have you ever gone into the LCBO, the liquor store in Ontario here, and see those craft beer bags that are just like the paper bags?
No.
And they don't tell you what's in it?
Nope. That seems like an awful dangerous thing to be doing.
I did it once just out of curiosity. I got like 3 of the same and then a couple other ones, and I had no interest of actually drinking anything.
There you go.
It was just really weird tasting things.
The life lesson here is don't go buying random booze in paper bags.
Well, it was from a reputable establishment. It wasn't like that time that Steve bought that one from the guy in the alleyway.
Yeah, well, Steve's not allowed to go any more dark alleyways. It's just, there's only so many times you can bail a guy out.
Yeah. Anyways, back to EA. They also are going to have their typical sports releases. So basically, every year we expect the same.
Your updated rosters.
Yeah, the NHL, the Madden, the FIFA. Those kind of typically fall in their same kind of release dates. You also get the UFC games and all that. They just came out with UFC 3, so I'm not sure if you're going to hear anything about a new UFC game.
They'll probably throw it up there. Like I imagine they might have a little bit of a booth. Like the sports games usually have some sort of a presence.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you buy it every single year, I'm not too sure that you can really see a good transition every single year outside of just a new updated roster.
Yeah, sometimes they introduce some new mechanics and all that. Like with the NHL games, you'll get some more realistic hits.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like less of the, when you smack into somebody, their head turns the other direction and their legs fly over their head and all that.
Yeah.
But,
which is too bad, because that would make for, if that was just like the standard mechanic, I think you'd get a lot more people getting in on that. Think of like more NFL Blitz when Blitz was still a thing.
Yeah. You hit the Blitz mode there and just boom.
Yeah, just start destroying everybody.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. You just get the updated rosters. Maybe some better graphics. A couple of years. Like, if you buy it every year, you're not going to probably notice.
No, I used to kind of like every 3 years I would get the new Madden. And that was usually a good enough time to see new mechanics. You get a good updated roster, but then within 3 years, they usually give you something a little bit different to refreshen the experience. They've gotten rid of what doesn't work, brought in something new, and kept other things that did work.
Yeah, I remember it was NHL 14 or 15, where they introduced like this weird component to the Be a Pro mode, where you create your own player and you play out his career. Mm-hmm. And introduced this component where there was things off the ice that would affect his popularity and all kinds of things. Like, oh, you got caught drinking and driving, you lose all his popularity. So it was like they introduced some weird stuff like that. But ultimately, like you said, every 3 years, that's when you kind of get the big improvements.
That, I mean, it just, I've never understood, and I've had friends that like buy the games every year. I got my one buddy that buys MLB The Show every year. I got another buddy that buys Madden every year. Mm-hmm. Like, if that's your game and that's what you're into, that's fantastic. If Bethesda threw out the next Elder Scrolls or the next Fallout, I'd be all over that. That's my cup of tea. So, to each their own.
Yeah.
But I think, like we said, the 3 year mark, if you're like a casual sports game player, is a pretty good mark to take.
And then another big release from EA. It's actually from their BioWare developer. It's a Canadian company. Is Anthem. I'm actually looking forward to Anthem.
I saw some previews for that, and it was looking really, really good.
It looks really pretty.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Mass Effect, Destiny, Halo, Lost Planet kind of mashup. You get a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. So it's I can always use some new action in my life.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I guess you're gonna have power armor similar to Halo and all that in it. The armor, I guess, is gonna be pretty customizable. You can do what you want with it. There's gonna be dynamic environments. There's gonna be the co-op, and I guess you're doing like monster hunting or something in it.
Sure, why not? Let's just throw a bunch of games together and see what comes out.
Yeah. So I watched the one trailer, and it was main character hopping in the power armor and then flying around this kind of alien world. So it kind of looks pretty cool. It's almost like an Iron Man Halo thing. So it's kind of neat. And it might be the big one to watch this year. Another big one to watch this year is from Nintendo that I completely forgot to mention when we were talking about the big consoles there.
Oh.
Is Smash Brothers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So they're coming out with the new Smash Brothers.
Might be inclined to invest in the Switch with the right Smash Brothers.
Never been interested in purchasing a Switch. I've never really jumped on the Wii, the Wii U.
My problem is, outside of like Mario and Zelda, the Switch, the Nintendo doesn't have anything for me. Mm-hmm. You know, like Mario Kart, pretty much anything with Legend of Zelda, I can usually get behind.
The Zelda titles for, I think, the Switch have been pretty well reviewed, so I think.
Oh yeah, like like Mario Odyssey, all that jazz. Like I have friends that have it, and they love it. They think it's great. I kind of forsook Nintendo a long time ago.
Yeah.
But you know, I know that every time they issue Smash Brothers, they issue Mario Kart. Like I know I'm missing out on a pretty stellar game. Like they are pretty good games.
Yeah, and Smash Brothers, like I remember playing that on 64 and absolutely loving it. Like
yeah.
I logged some serious hours, and I could beat the game, like, with both eyes closed and hand behind my back. I got to that point where I could go through pretty good. So I don't know if I'll be throwing money at a third console at this point, but...
See, it would only be console number 2 for me. It's just that I would have to try to explain that my son needed it, and he's just too young to need it right now. So clearly that would just be a toy for Dad, masked as a toy for him, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
I also have the SNES Mini. So that's technically, I guess it'd be the fourth console.
Oh, okay. Then in that case, that would be 3 for me. That's still such a fantastic little piece of hardware.
Oh, yeah. Then from another developer, Ubisoft. Not a whole lot from them. They might announce a Splinter Cell or another Assassin's Creed. They've been going pretty hard on Assassin's Creed the last couple of years.
Well, they finished off Origins after taking a nice long hiatus. Mm-hmm. So I think they kind of learned their lesson that if you're going to do Assassin's Creed every year, it's going to get old quick.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to start getting stale fast with the audience.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind another Splinter Cell. I enjoyed most of the Splinter Cells. Like some of them got, I don't know, starting to kind of come across like almost like a Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, well, that was always the thing. Is like Splinter Cell was almost like a more accessible Metal Gear Solid. Like it wasn't the weird, convoluted story that Metal Gear is. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty straightforward. Was it Sam Fisher? Was the name of the guy?
Yep.
Like really, really well driven. Really good.
Yep.
I think the first couple of games were probably their best.
Yeah, it was good quality Tom Clancy.
Yeah, absolutely, it was. Absolutely.
And then it kind of started going down different paths and started getting away from, I don't know, I think what made it a good Tom Clancy title.
Yeah, they started doing like the anti-hero thing all the time. They really kind of like they like made a hard right and kind of veered off of what he was originally out there to be doing.
Yeah, I think maybe somebody watched Jason Bourne and decided, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we got Bethesda. Bethesda had just recently tweeted out a little teaser.
Oh my god, I can't wait to find out what the hell's going on with that.
Yeah, so Bethesda usually alternates between Fallout and Elder Scroll franchises, and the last franchise they kind of pumped out was Fallout 4.
Well, you and I were talking about this the other day, and it could be that they're kind of doing like a New Vegas style sort of release. Like when we had Fallout 3, before we got Skyrim, we got New Vegas.
Yeah.
The danger with that is that New Vegas did not stand up to Fallout 3 by any stretch of the imagination. I didn't mind it, but it still wasn't as good.
No.
And Bethesda is notorious for releasing a game that needs a ton of patches. Like, day of release, it's got like 7 patches you got to download.
Yeah.
I'd hate to think that they were rushing into something, but on the same token, as a huge Fallout fan, I cannot get enough.
Yeah. Originally, there was some speculation that it'd be a Fallout 3 kind of remastered like they did with Skyrim, because it's the 10-year anniversary in October. Mm-hmm. They're also apparently working on a AAA freemium game for mobile that might be a spin-off for Fallout Shelter. But I guess after their little teaser there, they announced it's a Fallout 76 with no information of what that is.
All I know is the 76 is Vault 76.
Yeah.
And during the preview, if you zoom in, if you freeze frame on the Pip-Boy, the date it gives you is shortly after the bombs fall. I believe that I can't remember. There was a whole Fallout timeline from during the resource war, from the bombs fell to all like the pivotal moments within the Fallout universe.
Yeah.
And it's really, really early. It's set a couple hundred years before Fallout 4. 100 years, I think. Something like that. It'll be it should be a completely different world, shall we say.
No, it's going to be interesting to see what it is. Well, I have heard rumors that it's going to be like an online survival game. So they could be taking a page out of the Elder Scrolls Online.
I wouldn't be like... I liked the Elder Scrolls Online. I got into it. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't mind a Fallout 4 online campaign sort of multiplayer thing, but I don't know. I don't really think that the market's there for that. I mean, the franchise, there's a market there for that, but I would hate to see them just kind of jumping on that bandwagon for Fallout.
I didn't really get into Elder Scrolls Online too much. I was too busy just replaying Skyrim. But, so, I don't...
It's an MMO.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's pretty much all MMOs can kind of be boiled down to like the same thing. Grind, new gear, grind, new gear, grind, new gear.
Yeah.
So it's good, but it's, when I stopped playing Elder Scrolls Online when the remastered Skyrim came out, and I didn't miss Elder Scrolls Online. So to give you an idea as to how I feel about it.
Yeah, maybe it's going to be, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be like the open world thing, and then you can collect stuff, and you're going to be kind of upgrading your own vault or something too. And
sure, why not?
Yeah. So, who knows what's going to be there? It would have been nice to see a new Elder Scrolls. Who knows? They could surprise us and come out with 2, but I doubt it.
Absolutely. The last internet rumor I heard on that was they were going to be doing, because every Elder Scrolls has kind of like the title of the area. Mm-hmm. Like you had Morrowind, you had Skyrim, you had a couple of others. It's always like the area that they're in. Apparently, it was supposed to. The rumor was they were kind of looking at the Argonian home capital as like the next area. Mm-hmm. But that was it. I never heard anything after that, and a lot of that was just sheer speculation. I think people were just playing a numbers game and saying, well, they did the Nords and they did the Dark Elves and they did Oblivion and they did all this, that, and the other thing. It was like, well, sure. Maybe if it's just a numbers game, I wouldn't put too much weight behind it. So ultimately, what would you like to see? I'm really keeping my fingers crossed with CD Projekt Red, like I said.
Yeah.
I really, really want to see Cyberpunk really kind of do as well as The Witcher.
Okay.
I have a lot of faith in the studio. I think the problem with what they're doing now is it's an original IP. Mm-hmm. It's their idea. They're pushing this forward, and I trust them to do it. But with The Witcher, you had a whole world prior to these games being made established. Yeah. These were video games made from a book. Mm-hmm. They're really doing something original, doing something super futuristic. So it could get real convoluted real fast, or it might not. So yeah. I'm really, really keeping my fingers crossed that there's something kind of said on that front. And then just for my own fanboyish charm there, I really want to see Bethesda give me some information on the Fallout 79 teaser that we got.
Yeah. 76.
76. 6 can look like a 9 at the right angle.
79 is the one that comes out in a few years.
There you go.
Follow up.
So that's what I'm really kind of keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That and I always enjoy watching the E3 coverage, just for just the awkwardness of the people on stage. Actually, kinda is a sick pleasure of mine to see very uncomfortable people have to talk in front of an audience of 1,000 people just screaming at the top of their lungs. So
yeah, it's a good video of watching social anxiety at its best.
Absolutely that, and there's always some good cosplay going on in there.
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to, what I hope to see is a quality final chapter for Halo. Yeah. I'd like to see that Halo 6 announced. I don't want to hear, we're working on Halo 6 and then them doing their own little announcement after. Microsoft sometimes does that because they like to think that they're different than everybody else.
Sure, why not?
But I'd like to see a proper send-off to that franchise.
You don't want them to do the Mass Effect 3 ending?
Oh, God, no. Well, Mass Effect 3 was fine. It's the Mass Effect Andromeda that I didn't like.
You like the ending for number 3?
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Now that you said that, the way you say it...
Absolutely. Number 3 was a great game.
Yeah, now that you say it that way... The ending sucked. Yeah, the way you say it that way reminds me of how the ending actually happened. And then they had to release that whole little extra...
They had to clean up the story.
Yeah.
It was an apology ending is what they gave out.
Yeah, anyways.
Well, I'd like to see like a franchise like Halo. I think deserves a good close. Mm-hmm. I would hate to think that they blow it, but I don't. No matter what ending they give, there's always going to be that large swath of people that want more. Yeah,
I'd also like to see at least a tease or somewhat of a nod towards a open world Star Wars game that they've been kind of rumoring and talking about for the last couple of years.
I can't remember the name of the studio, but they seem to have they lost everything. Everything got pulled from development. Mm-hmm. They keep talking about that kind of stuff, but then I don't know. Star Wars changes hands, and then the video game development changes hands way too many times. EA puts their death clause in there. It's I don't know. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it too. I just don't know that we have anybody or a developer that's willing to do it.
I don't know. I've heard rumor that it's somewhat in development. It's kind of being it's being worked on. Battlefront 2 with EA kind of made EA a little nervous with the Star Wars property. So I don't know. They know the demand's there. They know people will throw a lot of money at an open world Star Wars game. I remember the Star Wars online game, Star Wars Galaxies. Mm-hmm. That was a pretty cool game. I remember it was like 9 discs to install by the time all the DLCs came out. Yeah. And jumping in it like late in the game, I was almost overwhelmed with all the things that you could do. Like you can go buy schematics to make your own droids and ships and all that. But it'd be nice to see something that's more of a wrapped up package of an open world Star Wars game.
I know for myself, I have great faith that one of these days I'm going to get to see another Rogue Squadron-esque kind of Star Wars game. To me, those were the Star Wars games that I couldn't get enough of. So yeah, I doubt I'm going to hear a bloody word about that from this E3, but I'd like to think sometime in the future I might see something somewhere. Yeah,
and as we mentioned, the big news was Walmart leaking a couple of games. It could just be rumors at that too, and Walmart could just be, I don't know, guessing that these games are coming. I don't know what. I doubt it. I know they got
that would be a pretty big stretch.
Just roll the dice.
And maybe they'll release these games.
Yeah, but they apparently leaked that there's going to be a Rage 2, a Just Cause 4, a Borderlands 3, and a Gears of War 5.
I know Borderlands 3 was talked about. If, that is one game I would just throw countless dollars at to get my hands on. I love that franchise. For an FPS, I love that franchise.
It's a great franchise. It's unique. The graphics are cool. You get tons of tons of guns.
Yeah.
They do all the different kinds of effects. The writing's always good. Voice acting's good.
It's just the right kind of quirky with the right kind of seriousness to it, challenge-wise.
Yeah, you get Claptrap that makes you laugh and giggle once in a while.
Yeah, no, I've never I mean, there are, I could definitely list them in order of preference, but I've never played a bad Borderlands game.
No. And I agree with you. Like, some of them weren't as strong as the others, but it's always been a fun kind of experience. Like, you don't really kind of get to a point in the game where you're like, oh, okay, this is crap, turning it off.
Yeah, they all hold up pretty well. I know I've gone back a couple of times to play them. They've over time, over the years that they've been out, and they were out there with the PS3 like ages ago. They've aged well. Like, they're still very, very fun to play.
Yeah.
But we might hear something about that during E3, but one can only dream.
Yep. All right, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of our little E3 preview episode. We'd love to hear from you guys what you want to see at E3, or if you listen to this after you see E3.
You want to call us out on all the mistakes we made and rub it in our face.
Yeah, or just if you want to share your reactions on some of the things you're excited for, or some of the things you're nervous for, like say if they have a Mass Effect Andromeda 2, which they won't.
That franchise got killed. It's terrible what happened to that.
But yeah, so we'd like to hear from you guys. You can hit us up on our Twitter, Instagram, all the social medias, our emails, nerdiumpodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, reach out, say hi. Tell us what we were right about. Tell us what we were wrong about. Bother Matt about the stuff he was wrong about. My feelings are far too delicate for that stuff.
I can take it. All right, guys. Until next time.
Take care, everybody.